Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the MLB. We have the New York Mets playing against the Washington Nationals in Washington on July 1st, 2024. Currently, the Mets are 40 and 41, which is third place in the NL East, and the Nationals are 39 and 44, which is fourth place in the NL East. So this is a divisional matchup versus the Mets and Nationals, and I believe the Mets have won their last 3 games against the Nationals, and I'm leaning towards them winning in this one. They're playing much better baseball overall, and they actually play a lot better on the road than they have at home statistically. And I think this is a pretty good spot for them with their pitching matchup. I got 2 parlays for you guys, both on BetMGM. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hopefully if you tap in, we can all win. So this is the first parlay that I have. It's a 2-leg parlay at plus 115. The first leg of this one is for Mackenzie Gore, who's the starting pitcher of the Nationals, to have under 5.5 strikeouts, essentially to have under 6 strikeouts for the game. On the season, Mackenzie Gore, left-handed pitcher, he's 6-7 in his starts with a 3.60 ERA and a 3.79 expected ERA, and his WHIP is at 1.39. So his ERA stats are pretty decent overall compared to league averages. He does have a higher expected ERA, but he's gone under 5 innings pitched and under 3 strikeouts in each of his last 3 games versus the Mets. And the Mets have been playing a lot better overall this season, especially recently. The Mets have scored at least 6 runs in each game versus Washington that they played this year, and they've won their last 3 games, as I mentioned, versus Washington. And they've also only scored under 1 run one time in their last 20 games. So the Mets are making pretty good contact with the ball, and they don't really strike out as often as like league average. And I think that they have a pretty good spot here against Gore, who has shown that he hasn't really been able to strike the Mets out. So I do like him to go under 5.5 strikeouts. And I also like the Mets to score over 1.5 runs in this game. As I mentioned, the Mets, they've scored over 6 runs in each of their games versus Washington. And they've only scored under 1 run once in the last 20 games. So they should have a pretty good chance of scoring more than 2 runs in this game. Looking at their stats on the road too, they have the highest hits per game on the road at just over 10, and also the highest runs per game on the road at 5.61 on average. So they should play pretty well on the road in this one against a left-handed pitcher, and they've had pretty good hitting numbers versus left-handed pitchers on the season. Last stat, they have the 4th highest OPS versus left-handed pitchers, essentially like how often did they get on base versus left-handed pitchers. They do at the 4th highest rate at 797. So they should have a pretty good chance of getting on base and in turn scoring in this game. But at plus 115, if you put 1 unit on this parlay, you have a 115% return on your investment, which is a little bit more than double, and that's a great return on investment. I would just suggest having bankroll consciousness and an overall understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets. And this is the second parlay that I have at plus 150. So it's a 4-leg parlay, and I have the Mets at plus 1.5 for the first 5 innings, and also plus 2.5 for the full game. I do lean towards the Mets being able to keep this game close and should have a good chance of winning this game. Looking at the Nationals overall, so they've lost 6 out of their last 9 games, and albeit all those games were on the road, but they had road series versus Colorado, San Diego, Tampa Bay, and now they're back home in DC playing. But it's a lot of travel for an MLB team with no breaks in between. And with their history versus the Mets being pretty poor in terms of their winning percentage and just overall offensive performances, I do think that the Nationals have a tougher game in this one, and I do lean towards the Mets being able to keep this game close in the first 5 innings and ultimately give them a good chance of winning. But I took them at plus 2.5 for the full game, just as a safeguard against any other possibilities that could happen. But speaking of the Nationals offense, I just think that they haven't really been performing well at all. And in comparison to the Mets, the Mets have been playing way better, especially in terms of their pitching. So I do think that the Nationals should probably score under 10 runs in this game, but I took them at under 8.5 for this parlay. And I also think that the Mets pitcher, Dave Peterson, has a good chance of giving up fewer hits. As I mentioned, the Nationals are hitting the ball pretty well against left-handed pitchers, and on the other side of that, the Nationals have the 10th lowest OPS versus left-handed pitchers at 0.68, and David Peterson, he's 3-0 in his starts with a 3.67 ERA, and his expected ERA is at 6.12, but I just think that that's more so a matter of him only pitching 27 innings total thus far in his starts. But in those 27 innings, he does have 20 strikeouts, so his strikeout numbers are pretty decent, and I think that the Mets just overall have a better offense than the Nationals in this one, and should be able to have more hits on Gore than the number of hits on Peterson. So at plus 150, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, you'll have a 150% return on your investment, which is 1.5x, and is a great return on investment, more than the previous parlay. But I put 1 unit on both these parlays, feeling pretty comfortable with the Mets offense in this one. But as always, I would just advise you guys having financial consciousness and bankroll management when deciding to place these parlays, if you do decide to place them with me. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more WNBA and MLB videos coming out later this week. And until next time, peace out.